I am Brad Keelor. They are Helen and Pavlo Chrysovergis. Find out next on Director's Cut which one of them can play the harmonica and how well they play it. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Director's Cut. My name is Brad Keelor. I'm the director of the Geo-Institute, and that is why we call this show Director's Cut. Every week, I sit down with a different GI member who has stories to tell. Some of them are personal, some are professional. All of them are fun. If you do not know anything about the Geo-Institute, you can visit geo-institute.org. And when you are there, you will find out that we are a technical society with about 12,000 members, most of whom are geotechnical engineers and or geologists. You probably have noticed by now a couple of odd things. One, it's not Wednesday when this is posted. Two, there's more than one GI member in front of you. You're correct on both of those items. This is our very special Mother's Day Director's Cut. We are a week late. Extenuating circumstances prevailed, but it is going to be a very special episode nonetheless. We have two guests this week, both of whom work at SPC Engineering in Southern California. It is Helen and Pavlo Chrysovergis. Welcome, guys. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, Brad.
Thank you very much, Brad.
The important thing to point out here is that Helen is Pavlo's mother, and that's why this all makes sense and why this is Mother's Day. So we are really excited to do this. We have 10 questions and maybe a little bonus at the end, the same way we always do. And we start with one of those two questions that we always ask everyone: describe your job in 45 seconds.
All right, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So, as Brad mentioned, my name is Pavlo Chrysovergis. I am a principal engineer at SPC Engineering in Anaheim, California. A company's been around for about 30 years. My mother and father started it initially, and currently we do geotechnical, civil and environmental services in the design field as well as in forensics. So forensic, we do cause and origin reports as well as expert witness work for litigation services. And with that, I do a variety of geotechnical investigations, managing those projects and investigations, as well as doing some drone flying to use photogrammetric techniques to build models and for drainage analysis and slope stability analyses. So that's basically what I've been doing.
Okay, then I'll go. I'm Helen Chrysovergis, and my civil engineering career started more than 40 years ago in the power and aerospace industry. And when our oldest son in 1990, when Taki was almost 2 and I was pregnant with Pavlo, my husband Stavros started SPC Geotechnical. I joined him then, and a few years later, the Northridge earthquake, 1994, that hit. And it got to be a very busy time for us, and we started hiring people, and we went on, to where we are today. And although my experience in the beginning was not in geotechnical, I grew to love the field in a very short time. Just the impact that it has on every person's life. It's very different from working on the C-17 cargo plane when there are 600 engineers working for 8 years on one project. So I really enjoy the work, and that's pretty much what I do. And nowadays, I have 3 grandchildren, and one more to come. Pavlo, second's coming, and so I do spend about a day or two with the kids, and also caring for my parents too. But my day used to be very, very full when I was in the middle of my career, from working from daily from field work, reviewing reports, the finance part of the company, running the business, and so forth. But it's a great job.
So we're going to find out a little bit more about that later, but I do have to ask one follow-up here, and it's for Helen. What was the biggest culture change for you coming from aerospace to civil and specifically geotech? That's a pretty different world.
Yeah, it's definitely very different. I was in structures actually, working in power plants, looking on pipe design systems for the nuclear plants, and then in aerospace. And but it's still engineering. It's math and science. The thought process is the same, and it's not much of a change. And it's exciting because it's our own business, and we make the difference. We decide who the clients are going to be, what jobs we work on, the hours we work. So it's very interesting, having two young children, an infant and a toddler to raise at the same time. So
that's great. We're going to ask several fun questions on directors. I mean, they're all fun, as I say at the beginning, but we're going to ask some really fun questions here, and a lot of them are going to be family oriented here. So we have to start with one of those. What is the last TV show or movie that you watched as a family?
I'll go first. I was thinking hard on this one, and I was thinking about, with Taki and Pavlo, the family before, they got married and so forth. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, because I'm outnumbered, there are three men in the family. And so there were either sports or adventure movies. Okay. I'd have to say it's one of the 3 original Indiana Jones trilogies. Okay, we used to love those, and it would be like a Friday night tradition, along with our Friday night dinner that I've been cooking from scratch for since 1983. Almost every night we make this Indian chicken curry from scratch, and I grind all the spices, do the chicken, and the boys have loved it ever since. And sometimes they would coming home from college and they'll ask for it. So with that and with the movie, that's kind of like a Friday night tradition. Mm-hmm. And that's what I remember the most.
Yeah, it's a fantastic curry my mom makes, by the way.
And that's an awesome answer. You've made it every Friday night for now 39 years?
Pretty much. Well, no, not as consistent now that boys aren't here. But yeah, it was for many, many years, and they remember that. And when they were really young, they used to share one drumstick, and I would have to rinse off the spiciness from it first.
That is great. Oh, I love that. These are the stories that make director's cut. So you guys mentioned that you're in Anaheim. You can see that big satellite view of the LA area, the LA basin behind you there. Yeah. We have to ask a question about Southern California. You guys are in Orange County. What makes practicing in Orange County in Southern California unique?
You go first?
Oh, you can go first.
Okay. Yeah, so there are several different reasons that makes geotechnical engineering in SoCal pretty unique. I mean, first of all, like the geology, there's so much differing site conditions everywhere. I mean, you have the beach, you have the mountains, everything's so close together. Not only, Southern California is highly developed, so you have all the good spots have been taken, all the good land. So only the land left is all the difficult ones, the problematic sites. Being in a high seismic, based an area of high seismic activity, you have to account for liquefaction, lateral spread, seismic slope stability, all these other conditions that really brings emphasizes the importance of geotechnical engineering. In addition to Hollywood being nearby with that San Andreas movie, and then also with Superman back in the 70s when Superman kind of lifts the San Andreas fault back together. So these are big issues that that Hollywood shows, and kind of shows the everyone in all the public about how important geotechnical engineering is. So I'd say that's kind of partially what makes it unique. In addition to I think there's a very strong geotechnical community in Southern California, right? There's a high population in SoCal, but there's also a significant number of geotech engineers here, and it's a pretty tight-knit community. And the great thing is that everyone's so close and knows each other pretty well. So it's good to collaborate. It's very easy for collaboration to work together with other geotechs to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, geotechnical engineering in Southern California is fantastic. Pavlo talked about the varying site conditions, and I enjoy most when I go out to the field to work on not just the regular geotechnical work, but property evaluations. Property damage evaluations, real estate pre-purchase. I can go and see those multi-million-dollar homes. I think the most expensive one was like 38 million, and to be able to assess those and talk to the owners about it and make something that can help them to make a decision whether or not they want to purchase it, and what the possible problems that could be associated with that, what cracking they see in the house, and what they're caused by, what's to be expected and what's not, how to maintain the drainage and so forth. So we have all kinds of issues with residences, and you think about it, that it's usually people's most expensive investment. Their greatest asset, financial asset, is their home. And so pre-purchase is one thing. The other thing is, for example, damage evaluation. Homeowners have problems, and they call us, or insurance claims and so forth, and being able to identify problems and all that, and all in a wonderful environment of Southern California.
And of course, we're going to experience that very soon when Geo-Congress comes to Los Angeles next March. We are really excited to get that LA, Orange County, Southern California community together. And I like to call Geo-Congress the family reunion. So we're bringing the family reunion to LA. It's going to be really good.
That's right, Brad.
So Pavlo, this one is just for you. Your brother Taki is not a lot. The age difference is not very significant.
Right. 2 years.
I find this amusing because putting you guys side by side, there are similarities, but you don't look exactly like each other.
Yeah.
What is the best and the worst time you've been mistaken for your brother?
Yeah. So it is funny you say that. I agree. We don't look the same, but sometimes when I'm just driving in the car or something, and I look in the rearview mirror or something, I see Taki and I think it's me, or like it just like from maybe from a side glance or something. I'm not sure what it is.
Like an out of body experience.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. So best and worst times. The worst, there's not really a bad time, because Taki's a great guy and my best friend, so I can't really say I don't like being confused with him. But I'd say the best time would be, I'd say about a handful of years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago. I was at, you may know this, Brad. I was on the Queen Mary LA Geo-Institute spring seminar. And my brother Taki had just been an LIC, Local Involvement Committee member for National Geo-Institute. And I'm walking around, and all of a sudden, someone taps me on the shoulder and says, "Hey, our new LIC for Region 9." And then I said, "Huh?" He's like, "Yeah, good job." I'm like, And then he says, "Taki?" I was like, "Oh, no, this is Pavlo." And little did I know, that's the first time I met Mr. Brad Keelor.
Oh, that was the first time. I thought we had met before that. Oh, that's really good.
I think that was the first time, yeah. And then we sat together at the dinner, at the seminar, talked, had a great time. So I would say that was the best experience, because I made a great friend with it.
Oh, I like that. That is an excellent answer. And I remember that. I felt very bad because but before I started doing this, I was a lobbyist and stuff. And your job is you have to remember every face and every conversation and all that stuff so that you can just pull it out 12 years later.
Right.
And so when I do that to somebody, I'm like, oh, this is so embarrassing. This is the worst thing ever. But I could tell that it was not the first time it had happened by the way he reacted also. But that's on the Queen Mary. That is a great story. So Helen, we've got one question just for you now.
Okay.
And this one is something I cannot imagine all the work you had to do when Taki and Pavlo were younger, and also, basically running the family business. What was the most rewarding aspect of running the business and raising a family at the same time?
Well, the two most important things in my life are family and work. And it's wonderful to be working with your family now. But growing up, and it just gave an opportunity to be together all the time. We were working out of our house for the first couple of years, I believe, and then we, got off small offices, and the company grew and so on. But always being able to be with them and have them see and learn about the work ethics and developing interests and having this respect for work. And that's probably the most important thing. And look what they've become now. So.
And I know I've asked Taki this question before, but I'd like to get your viewpoint on it too. What was the moment that you knew that Taki and Pavlo were going to come work with you guys, that they were going to be part of this?
Oh, gosh. I don't think there was a moment. I knew they had interest. They were always, with us when we were working. I remember them when they were 2 years old. I think Taki might have mentioned that too, but they were in the lab with us in the back, and they were, cleaning rings and putting them in the containers and all that. And they've always had this interest, but we let them develop it, when they grew up, and they both wanted to do civil engineering and explore it. And so it just kind of naturally developed into that. And then both of them worked for very, very large companies when they graduated, when they got their masters. And then they decided, I think Pavlo was like 3 years later, he joined us.
Yeah.
So, I knew that they had an interest in that. My Stavros and I both felt that, but it was up to them what they ended up doing. And they chose it on their own. So we were very happy.
Yeah, and it's something I think where, in terms of working getting a degree in civil engineering, geotechnical engineering, specializing, it's that, growing up, Taki and I saw that you guys had a lot of joy for the work that you did, and I think you guys presented it in a great light, something that we really admired. So we thought that it was individually thought it was a great path to go for. You guys did a good job selling geotechnical engineering to us.
The best ambassadors for the discipline that you could possibly have. So for both of you, I was trying to think when we were getting ready for this, how many families we have where more than 2 family members are ASCE or GI members, and it's not a lot. So what is the story for both of you? How did you first get involved in ASCE and GI?
I'll go first. For ASCE, it would be, I'm sure, like a lot of the members, in college, you sign up for civil engineering, then you meet, you get involved in the student ASCE chapter of your own university. And then for me, for geotechnical engineering, there's the GeoWall competition. I think I participated in the second GeoWall competition in the late 2000s or so. And that's kind of when I first got involved. They have like the local, you have your local Southwest region, your competition, then you have the national competition. So I went to actually a few geo-congresses as a student, and that was a really great experience to kind of branch out and kind of be exposed to all the different facets of geotechnical engineering that I hadn't been involved with before, and also meeting all these great professionals. So that was that's kind of how I got started. And then that kind of developed into, after graduating college at UCLA, I got involved into the Orange County chapter, kind of getting that started up. Taki and I and Clint Isa, so we were about 3 of the board members, and we started that up from almost nothing. And then we built it up, and I was the chair in about 2019, and we have about 500 members, and we were runner-up to a chapter of the year. So it was a sweet finish to the end of that, but we're doing well now, and the chapter is growing a lot. So that's kind of been my involvement with ASCE and GI.
That's great. Helen, what about you?
Well, for me, also the same thing as far as ASCE was a student chapter. I was graduated. There weren't too many female engineers at the time, but I did go attend the meetings, and then later on with GI. Just attending some functions, but mostly since 2010 or so, when Taki and Pavlo were getting very involved in the competitions, and later being board members and so forth.
Fantastic. I would like to have a poster or something, or an ASCE recruitment poster with the four of you on it. And it could say something like it's a family affair or something like that. That would be a great marketing campaign for us. So what we teased at the open of the interview was the harmonica. And the question that led to it was this. And this is a question for both of you, though. What is your hidden talent that almost no one outside the family knows about?
So I'll go ahead. So I'm the harmonica player. So Brad, you mentioned hidden talent. So talent is a little bit of an overstatement. It's more of an ability. I can play about 3 songs, Hot Cross Buns.
Classic.
Yeah, classics. Hot Cross Buns. What's the other one? Then the Star Spangled Banner, and then the one other song I forget. But basically, those first 2, Hot Cross Buns, is basically on a piece of sheet music that came with a harmonica, which I got from my piano teacher in elementary school. So I started playing that a little bit, then messed around and learned the Star Spangled Banner, which was not on the sheet music. And fun fact is that when I met my wife, or when we were dating at that time, about a month into it, I showed her the harmonica. I played her the Star Spangled Banner, and I'm pretty sure that's the time when she realized that she wanted to marry me.
I love that. But that's a significant difficulty jump, I feel like, from Hot Cross Buns to Star Spangled Banner. Everybody has been to that 5th grade band concert when they play Hot Cross Buns. Yeah. And, for a lot of people, I think that's probably about as good as the evening gets, unless there's like the advanced band that comes afterward. But that's impressive and a very heartwarming tale. Helen, what about you? What's your hidden talent?
Oh, talent. I wouldn't call it a talent, but I would call it a passion and interest, and that's astronomy. And I wanted to be an astronomer since I was 10 years old. And I even finished 2 years of astronomy as astrophysics at UCLA. And I just loved astronomy, observing, understanding, learning about cosmology, astrophysics, and so forth. It's just, I love science and math. And that was for me, taking telescopes out and going backpacking and so on. But then it wasn't very practical as a career, because I had a lot of friends who were postdocs, and they were just continuing, dedicated. They really weren't getting anywhere, and I wanted to be practical. I wanted to, eventually get married, have a family, and not leave them every night, And and I'm glad that I went into engineering. And the irony is that I used to look up all the time. Now I'm looking down for geotechnical.
So how often do you get to get out and look at the skies now?
Well, frankly, ever since started working, it hasn't happened much, and so, but it's still a hobby, and it's kind of I'm rekindling it now with my husband. He's quite much of a photographer, so we started getting into astrophotography now. We're not quite there, but this is the year 2022, so we got some good equipment, and we're very excited about that.
You've shown me some pretty cool photos too. So
yeah, I did. Yeah.
We'll be looking forward to that.
Oh boy. Okay.
We've got 3 questions left. Actually, well, 3.5 because of the bonus. We're letting everybody know there's the bonus there at the end. And this is another family business one. And this is for both of you. Can you think of a job or project that required input from everyone in the family, or is that almost every project?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much every larger project we have. We kind of, collaborate and kind of just talk together, bounce ideas off of each other. So yeah, most of the projects most of the larger ones, we definitely talk together and get our different opinions about that, because growing up, around the dinner table talking, when we were younger, we'd hear my parents just discussing projects. So that's kind of how we grew up into the collaborative environment. But with regards to a particular project, I feel like that was kind of interesting was there's one in South Orange County where there was a large landslide repair that was done by my parents in the early mid 2000s or so. And then we got a call back from that property owner and then they wanted to build another structure in there. So I'm kind of I've been managing that project and kind of taking that on. So it's kind of heartwarming to know a project that my parents started, and that's something that I'm continuing on. So it's going through 2 generations. So that's kind of has a good feeling.
Helen, do you have a favorite?
Well, since Pavlo is next to me now, I want to talk about
Her favorite son?
Oh, my favorite younger son, absolutely. So 2016, we started doing jobs in Oklahoma for earthquake, because I do a lot of work. I've done a lot of earthquake, of course, jobs like a couple hundred or more during the Northridge earthquake and so on. And
forensic evaluations.
Forensic evaluations, yes. And so they called us. They called me from Oklahoma. It goes, can you come in? Can you come and do that? I go, oh, I need to get my my license in Oklahoma. And since then, we've been gone to probably a handful of times, flying out to Oklahoma. And because Pavlo is also very experienced in earthquake, from a good education in earthquake engineering from UCLA, so he would accompany me. So the two of us would be a team, and we go out there and we'll see 2, 3, sometimes 4 jobs, in one day on one trip. And it was very enjoyable. And that's, in Oklahoma, the earthquakes, they started probably 2011 or so, something like that, basically from fracking and the wastewater, injection, causing seismic activity. So we'll do the damage evaluations there with Pavlo. So there's several projects that we worked on, and it's been a lot of fun, and he does definitely helped a lot.
Yeah, it's nice. There's a lot of good restaurants out there too in Oklahoma. a lot of good ribs. We found a really good rib place. So every time we found it the first time, so every time after that we make sure to go to that same restaurant and get some good ribs there.
Charleston, maybe of Charleston.
Every single time we talk about Oklahoma on the show, it goes to food. And that's I think that's one of the 7 states that I haven't been to. So I need to knock that off, and I need to go hungry, I think, is what I'm learning here.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that I put in here, because I asked Taki way back on the 2nd episode of Director's Cut, but also because the 2028 Olympics are coming, and they are coming to Los Angeles.
That's right.
Wow.
This is one for both of you. In what Olympic sport would you most like to compete?
Go ahead.
Okay, so for me, they're all pretty interesting, but I find the most one that would be the most fun, because I like to snowboard. So I would probably put in a waiver request. I'd like to do the biathlon in the Winter Olympics, which is skiing and rifling, skiing and shooting. But I'd probably ask for a variance to be able to snowboard instead of skiing. But I feel like, snowboarding plus shooting would be that'd be a great combination. I feel like there's nothing more than you can really ask for that. Plus I'd have to practice for that, so that'd give me a lot of time in the mountains, and then that'd be a really fun time, I feel like.
That's great. Maybe the X Games will add that first.
Yeah, there we go.
Helen, what about you?
Well, for me, I would love to compete in ping pong. Not that I'm great at it, but I just see them play, and it's just incredible, ping pong. And I'm Chinese, so in fact, when I was growing up in Hong Kong, or maybe in elementary school, we used to play ping pong. Everybody played ping pong, but there was no space, so it would be at the rooftop. They would draw lines, no tables, right? Just lines with chalk. And little kids would be playing ping pong and back and forth and back and forth. And so it was fantastic. And, my parents and my brothers and I, we just play ping pong all the time. And in fact, when my father, a few years ago, he was almost 90, and it was really not safe for him to drive. So he couldn't be convinced to stop driving. So we had to take the car away, and then we substituted with a ping pong table.
And so in the garage, you walk in and there's a big ping pong table instead of a car.
Yeah, so we've been playing, and we still play, and my mom's incredible. We rally 1,500 times. Maybe we dropped the ball once or twice, but we just keep on going. And so I would love to be good enough to have played ping pong in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a big jump, I feel like, from kind of good at it to We had when I worked at the British Embassy, we had a table next to our area in the office, and so we played a lot. And somebody thought it would be a great idea to have this office tournament. And so we're like, yeah, we're going to enter and we're going to do okay because, we have the table here, we play a lot. So one day, well, actually a couple different days, we noticed that the table was slightly moved when we were setting up to play. About a week before the tournament, I had to come into the office at like 6:30 in the morning for something. And I'm sitting there working away, and at 7 o'clock, these two guys from some other floor show up and move the table a different direction so that they can stand like 15 feet back. And I mean, they're going nuts. And so these guys practice for a half hour, 45 minutes, and then they go about their day. So I came back to the office after whatever I needed to do, and I went to one of my friends who I was going to play with, and I was like, you are not going to believe this. I was like, we're going to get destroyed in this tournament. Like, we may want to consider not playing. And but we stayed in it, and these two guys placed first and second. It was amazing to watch, though. Like, I'm glad I got to see it that one time. Yeah. So, Helen, I'm with you. I think I would like to do that.
Yeah.
So we have to ask this one, too. You guys have a super multicultural family, super cool, Greek, Chinese. What is the best part about raising or growing up in a Greek and Chinese family?
Yeah, I would say a few things. I mean, there's the culture, the mix of cultures is really great. And I mean, number one, I got really good at math. I was kind of born into being great at math, so that was great. And then the Olympics going between being in Athens and Beijing, and then also with the old Disney movies, Hercules and Mulan, so like all
back
these,
to back.
Yeah, all these movies and Olympics is all just meant to be about Taki and I, basically. So it's been pretty special having that nice combination of cultures together.
And for me is the blending of cultures. It's incredible. They're both ancient and very traditional. And sometimes you think, oh, they're very, very different, but actually they are not, because as far as strong family values we have respect for elders and a work ethic. So all those things are we have so much in common. So it's so easy for us to after the initial attraction and then the dating and the marriage and raising a family, it's all been so easy because we're so much in tune. And of course, having the benefit of Stavros's family in Greece, we used to go every single summer, take the children with us, and having our business too, being able to run it from Greece, why we have employees there and have that flexibility is incredible. And they learned a lot about the Greek culture. They speak pretty fluent Greek, even though they were born here. And of course, the benefit of the Chinese is the Chinese food, the Chinese restaurants that we go to here. They know how to order very much. They don't speak Chinese too much, but all the food words they know.
That's right.
That is amazing. So I have to ask a follow-up question here. One of the things that I try to do every country that I go to, I always go to McDonald's because I'm curious. I want to see if it's different. The other thing I try to do in every country I visit is eat at a Chinese restaurant, because I don't think this would have ever occurred to me until I was in France in high school, and I saw something on the menu I had never seen before. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, I just assumed that, Chinese restaurants were the same in every country in the world, and they are not. What is the most interesting thing that you've seen in a Chinese restaurant in Greece or in anywhere?
Interesting thing in Chinese restaurant that's not Chinese?
Or anything. I mean, in France, what we noticed is they gave people salads with everything. And we saw this at multiple Chinese restaurants. That it must have been a very French thing that was expected, that people would get a salad with it. And that was fascinating.
Well, in Chinese food we basically serve, you don't get like a plate of food. It's basically different items you have, and then everybody shared. The typical thing is that there is a lazy Susan, and everybody just takes a little bit of food, and that's the way we eat. And So it's very unusual for that we see people order like a combination. They don't have that in China, say. You don't have a combination. You just order several dishes and you all share. And so in Greece, there are some Chinese restaurants in Greece. We've never been to one, not that really have any interest because
we have our own chef here.
Yeah,
so.
well.
Right.
But Greek food is just absolutely incredible. And I actually now I cook more Greek food than Chinese food, because we go there often, and my in-laws, they used to live with us 3 months at a time, 2 months at a time. So that's how I learned Greek, to speak Greek very well myself, and also learned the Greek cooking. So now the boys are very lucky to have both Greek food and Chinese food.
Yeah,
I would say they are very fortunate. Those are two good cuisines to have around. I've alluded to the bonus question like 4 times now, so we got to do it. For both of you, since this is our very special Mother's Day episode, for both of you, what is your favorite Mother's Day memory?
Yeah, so my favorite Mother's Day memory, I would say, would be when I was in, I think it was 4th or 5th grade. There was which I thought it was a cool idea back then, but we'll talk about it after the fact. But there was they had like a poem competition for Mother's Day. So you had to write a poem about your mother, So I wrote it, and actually I won. And the gift, or the prize, was basically like a jewel that a jeweler was giving out. So they gave you a jewel, and then like, I won my mom a jewel, this is great. And then it's like the next thing, you got to put on a setting here and this and that. So, I won a jewel for my mom, but little did I know she had to pay an arm and a leg to get that mounted and on the band and all that stuff.
Before Helen goes here, what a horrible idea for a prize, for a contest. Who came up with that? I mean, obviously some jewelry store somewhere that wanted to sponsor, but that's unbelievable. And you said you were in 5th grade then?
Yeah.
So they just come and hammer you with a bill for hundreds of dollars after that? Oh.
Well, you could get the loose stone, or you can get it mounted.
Yeah, you get the loose stone, but then you have to buy the book that has the poem in there, and pretty much every kid's poem is in the book.
I never knew that part.
You didn't know that? No. Yeah, I looked at it, I go, wow, Pavlo. Every participant is an owner. I mean, is a winner.
This is incredible to me. What a racket.
But I really appreciated that, though.
Okay.
It's kind of a genius idea, but at the same time, I'm like, that's a little bit underhanded by those guys.
It was.
Okay, Helen, now we have to get yours.
Well, how about if I tell you I don't have a favorite one? Because I think that every day is a Mother's Day for me, because I see my children, Taki and Pavlo, in the office every day, and I see my daughter, Taki's wife Amanda. She's a geologist, so she works here. I see her every day, and Pavlo's wife Carrie, she's a nurse practitioner, but I do see her, and I see the grandkids, and I feel like my life is it's a celebration of motherhood, and it's just been amazing. And I'm just the luckiest mother in the world. That's how I feel.
I'm lucky.
Thank you guys for all of your answers. This was so cool. I think it's a very unique situation that you guys have running the family business like this. I mean, there are lots of family businesses, but I do think yours is unique, and thanks for sharing everything with us today and with the viewers out there. And for our viewers, if you liked what you saw, and like I always say, you probably did because you're here at the end, you should click subscribe. You should click get notifications. We'll let you know every time we post something to the YouTube channel, which is super frequently. So Helen and Pavlo, thank you for doing this.
Thank you, Brad, and we hope everyone all the moms had a great Mother's Day.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brad.
Thank you. Thank you for
having me. I made it through the whole interview without calling you Taki once. I feel like that I deserve a gold star.
Yes, I can give you a jewel or something if you want.
But I'll have to buy the set.
Yeah.
So to all our viewers, thanks for sticking with us, and we will see you with a brand new Director's Cut next week. Chrysovergis. I always want to pronounce your name Chrysovergis.
Actually, the spelling should be GH, and it was years ago, but it was 14 letters, so Stavros cut it down to 12.
Yeah.
It used to be GHIS.
Wow.
And double S.
That's pretty good. So, and he just decided to do it?
Well, before Taki was born, we're saying, okay, the kid has 14 letters. It's kind of long. Let's take out a couple.
You better hope he's never like a pro athlete, right? Is that what you were thinking? It'd be one of the names that has to be arched on the back.
Like Antetokounmpo, right? It's all the way around.
Yeah.